is and not black screen. So thank you for having your videos on. So I want to start by just asking you, what has you interested in intuition? You can come off mute and share, you can throw it in the chat. Like why did you decide to take 90 minutes out of your day to listen to me today?
Well, I'll come off chat. Grace, thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome. So I am aware that I have intuition that when I listen to it, it's so powerful, but I ignore it a lot. So I'm just hoping to dive a little deeper into, learning to trust it and lean on it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Lorraine.
I would say I would like to learn the healthy balance because I trusted my intuition at ACC and even PCC coach. I was like, oh, I already know what's going on, and I try to help them to realize that. But
Mm.
now on my MCC path, they say, forget about everything, play dumb. You don't understand anything. So I want to learn how to turn it off a little bit, or maybe how to twist it towards like not exactly telling them what I sense, but helping them to understand that better.
Yeah, thank you, Teddy. You pointed to something that we won't talk about today, but I talk in about in my free program is the difference between intuition as pattern recognition and intuition as gathering information from what I call the field, which has nothing to do with anything that you know. And that's part of the MCC journey is actually listening with your whole body. And that intuition is things that come to you that feel like they're unrelated. They're like, oh, that was a random hit, you know? Those are the ones. Those are the ones that are we need to pay attention to. So pattern recognition is just experience. Yeah, I've seen this before. Oh, I can feel like this is the thing. And what I'm talking about is actually tuning into the energetic field of information, which is different. It's just another point of view. So thank you. Yeah. Nina, I love this topic. I'm a certified body centered coach. Great. Yes, lovely, lovely, Nina. Thank you. That's great. Valerie, you came off mute earlier.
Actually, yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing is that years ago when I first started, experimenting with coaching, I thought, oh, I have such great intuition, but over the years, it's almost like trying to, hey, let me turn that off a little bit and be more uh, curious
Mm-hmm.
and and say, and not listen to that intuition, which I've just been so, I guess that's what I've held on to really my whole career. So I'm kind of looking to turn it off or to manage it or to channel it better.
Yeah, again, you're referring to pattern recognition
Mhm.
mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which we call intuition often. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there are many different types of intuition. And so
Mm.
what I'm teaching is different than pattern recognition. That's something that comes with time and experience. And
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Aaron says my intuition feels strong sometimes that I want to learn how to be present with my client and turn it down some. Okay. Seems like a little bit of a theme. Like we're feeling the intuition in the way that we label it for ourselves, and it's like what do I do with this thing? How do I work with it by being really really present, or how do I set it aside and actually just be curious and be in the emptiness and see what arises? So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about um, the basically the three keys that I'm saying are important to using on demand, which is important on demand and reliable and accurate intuition in your coaching sessions. So let me just share a screen. We'll go through just a couple slides and then we'll come off. Hopefully, yes, pretty close. There we go. All right. So just a quick note on me. So I've had a long career. I started off in nursing, and then I went into public administration. I worked both all healthcare settings up the gamut, and then also I worked in government as a lobbyist. I'm a PCC. I do coach training and mentorship. I'm a CSA coach supervisor. I am an intuitive by training. Yes, I think I've had some like natural inclinations, like all of us do at some point or another. But I actually spent 4 years in a program that trains me how to use my intuition, which is mostly energy reading, reading people's fields, which is why I'm bringing this into coaching. So I have quite a bit of experience with that. And then I am an almost freshly minted astrologer with a diploma from Kepler College, which is a formal college training in astrology, which is an amazing subject. I started Third Eye Coach Development and the Insight Advantage program to address this consistent theme that I'm seeing across coaches, which some of which you guys described today, but also this transition that we need to make from ACC, PCC to MCC has everything to do exactly with what you said. A couple of you said is like forgetting it, forget all of it, pretend you know nothing, because in reality, you know nothing. You actually don't know that person's life. You don't know how they think. You don't know what connections need to be made. You don't know any of it. We think we do. And yes, we may see pattern recognitions, but the point is not that we drive a client to a pattern that we are seeing, but rather we allow the client to do their own journey. And we really don't have say in what that journey is. It doesn't belong to us. So what I've noticed is that moving from that pattern recognition into real full-bodied intuition and being with a client is so like it's the big transition for all coaches. And then I also think with AI and all this stuff, coaching needs to start, I think the profession needs to start thinking about what does leveling up look like for coaches. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, it's not data. Probably most vast majority of coaching conversations can be had with an AI bot to some degree of effectiveness. I've used it myself. It can be extremely helpful on the fly. And I've even tested between different AI platforms to see with the same instructions how things work differently, who's better at coaching, that kind of thing. And it's sufficient. I'll tell you, it's sufficient for like an ACC level coaching conversation. So the difference between that and really leveling up yourself as a coach is this use of full body listening. And I'm adding in the listening to the field, intentional listening of the field of the client. That's something that a computer will never do. So I created this program to help fill that gap. Okay, so why is it so important for coaches? Well, it can get to the crux of something a lot quicker than an hour of a conversation. When I'm using this, and I don't use it all the time, just to be clear, and that's a whole nother discussion, but when I'm using this, I can often like pinpoint like the thing that's trying to emerge. I don't know what it is. I can't label it, but I can feel it in my body. And so it's this like, oh, this curiosity that allows this thing that's trying to emerge. And I'm going to give a demo so you get a sense that I'm not just talking about this. It connects quickly. You connect quickly with the client. You can make these essential connections without effort, and it can create unlikely breakthroughs for our client. Not only that, but when we're good at using our own intuition, the more grounded we are, the more we do our own work, the more clear our intuition is. And the more you settle into that, the more you can feel the client stepping into their own wisdom, their own intuition. And it's like more and more and more space becomes available for the client, and the client will, they may need a little encouragement or step into their own wisdom. And so allowing them to tap into that is like teaching Amanda fish, right? So as we grow that, it grows in our clients as well. Um, High quality intuition is built through development. It requires calming our nervous system. It requires self reflection and intervention, meaning that we are, this is where our kind of coach supervision tends to come into play, is that who we are is how we coach, how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to the world, and what we're holding at the moment impacts how we show up for our clients. So being aware of those things, recognizing those things, and knowing when it's time to handle something if it needs to be handled. When it's time to say, I'm not going to coach for a month because my parent is passing away, and that's just not, it's not something that I want to be in, or maybe it's the most powerful place you can be for coaching. So being aware of what's happening for you is really, really important in developing and using your intuition in increasing capacities. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you guys real quick a poll question. So what I, well, it's, let's not say it's a poll. Let's just stop here for a second and have a conversation. I'm just gonna stop share. Okay, so I would love to hear from people, and again, just throw it in the chat if that works best for you. What is it that's most challenging for you around using your intuition? For example, is it that you don't listen? Is it that you don't trust it? Is it that you can't hear it? Or people always, I had a student in one of my classes, and she said, people always tell me I'm intuitive, but I don't get it. I'm not intuitive at all. I don't understand. And then when she went through the course, she was like, oh, okay. I guess I am. So maybe knowing whether or not you are, okay, trusting it, great. Yeah. Trusting is a big one. We're so, like, so to speak, even though this is incorrect now, left brained, but analytical, you know, that like trusting that felt sense that doesn't connect to anything can be really challenging.
Grace, I think for me, it's like I have intuition around something, and I guess it's along the lines of trusting it, but it's more so around um, if my intuition is wrong, then I've introduced something into the conversation that could take that coaching conversation off track. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm no longer, I'm pseudo kind of following something uh, that I felt in the conversation, and I'm now no longer following the client, and I'm making them follow me
Yeah, excellent.
based on an
Yes.
intuition.
That's awesome, Raymond. Thank you. That's a great awareness to notice, and something that is important to address when we have an intuition, that it comes forth. I like to, I kind of have a little bit of a conversation in my head where something comes forth, and I'm like, okay, why is this coming forth? Like, what's the question here that's asked, that's wanting to be asked of the client? And often I'll just be like, this thing keeps coming to me, and I'd be remiss if I didn't share it with you. But if it doesn't hit anything for you at all, it's totally okay. But I'd hate to skip over it if it ends up being important. Is it okay if I share it? And then I'll share it, and they'll either, pick it up or they won't. And if they pick it up, they pick it up in the direction that they want to take the ball. Um, so that's one way that can help address that. Yeah. So we have acknowledging intuition and trusting it, having the courage to follow up on it with left brain clients. Sure. Yeah. 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 Trusting it and the vulnerability when sharing it, and keeping my ego out. Yep. Yeah. 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 Anyone else want to share? What's the hardest part of using your intuition? I'm really good with
Um,
silence too. So yes,
I
please.
have one. So, just when feeling that intuition so intensely, just not internalizing it, but like Raymond was saying, and knowing when to act on it, when to not, and just not taking it like it is my intuition, but not, I guess, reading into it too much, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, Aaron, thank you. I hear two things in there. One is in getting into too much interpretation of what is coming up too quickly. And then, you can kind of make a decision and take a direction, which is not recommended. So that's one thing. And then I just lost the other one. I don't know. It'll come to me, Aaron.
That's okay. Yeah. Like almost like having a curiosity, like the curiosity of it's there. Like I want to trust it and have a curiosity of what's happening, but like how to best use that with my clients, but not like sometimes I'm sometimes I wish I didn't have it so strongly because I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good. And sometimes we get the intuition, and there's also a strong intuition that like the client is like, this is not the right time. It's actually just awareness for me, not necessarily awareness for the client, something for me to hold or take note of. Um, and the second thing was attachment, letting go of attachment. Like, okay, I'm getting this. I'm just going to write it down. If it doesn't feel like it fits, it's on the paper. If it comes up to 3, 4 times, I'm definitely like, okay, I need to check this one. And that's more how I tend to introduce intuition into the sessions, is like, let me check the data that's coming in, because it's so easy to ignore it or feel it and interpret it and then try to do something with it. And what we really want to do is just think of it as incoming data, um, and then share just the data when it feels like the right time or in the right. I usually pose it as a question. um yeah, thank you guys, thank you all for sharing that. I feel like we can go on to the next thing here. Okay, so yeah, most commonly the 3 issues that coaches struggle with when using intuition and coaching is accessing it on demand, meaning like you're feeling stuck in a session, or that it just like, what do I do with this? Or like you can see the client like spinning on something and you're not quite sure then where to go next. Usually what it means is you're like caught in there with a client, and what you need to do is zoom out, back out, and check in with your intuition and see like, what is presenting right now? If I put that on a screen, what's presenting, and tuning into that. So accessing it on demand, trusting it, reliably trusting it, knowing like whatever comes up is coming up for a reason. And then communicating it safely and in our lane. And that's part of what I mean by safety, is being in our lane as an ICF coach. We're not like, oh, well, I know you came for coaching, but I'm actually going to give you a psychic reading. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. But instead using it as a professional tool, and to help the client grow their own wisdom. So those are the 3 things that typically come up with coaches. So I'd like to do a group demo. So what I would like to do, let me stop sharing again, is just have a little exercise. So I would love somebody to volunteer that has a question, a challenge, something maybe that's been like bugging you for a while. It doesn't matter if it's coaching, client related, it can totally be something in your life, like whatever's been like in the back of your head. So if you have something that you would like to be a guinea pig on, keeping in mind that this is recorded, I'm not going to coach you, but the group, all of you, are going to use your intuition to give you data and see how that data informs you about what it is that's bothering you. That sound like a fun thing to try? Yeah. Anybody want to volunteer? I'll give you instructions once you volunteer.
Is it okay if I volunteer?
I don't see why not. You waited long enough.
Everybody, please let me know that's okay. It's okay that I'm on not overusing my power here. But I actually do have a big challenge right now.
You do. Okay. So, what I would like you to do is write down, don't share it with us, but write down your challenge on a piece of paper. And as you're writing it down, try to feel it, like really the frustration or the confusion or whatever it is, all the emotions that may come along with that. Just feel into that while you're writing it down. So you're really connected with it. Okay. So you are working on that. And then I'm going to invite everyone else to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Nice, good, deep ones. And just feel like wiggle your toes. Remember that you have toes. Wiggle your toes. Yeah. And then maybe wiggle your legs a little bit. Remember you have legs, and maybe your torso and your shoulders. You have a body below your neck. Yeah. So we're just tuning in here to the body that we have. And for you, do whatever you need to do to connect there. I like to have my feet on the floor just to feel grounded and stable. Okay, and then from here, you can think of Tadi's name. You can just say her name in your head or something like that. It's just all we're doing is connecting our energy with Tadi. Okay, and now just be aware of what is emerging. So it might be a feeling in your body, it could be a picture in your head, it might be a phrase or a word or a color. Given Tadi's concern, you may say in your head, what does Tadi need to know about this concern? And then see what immediately comes up and write it down. And I'll give you only 30 seconds. Okay, and when you're ready, Tadi, I'm going to ask you to just watch and read the chat. I invite everyone to just put what came up in the chat without any interpretation. For example, for me, I felt like a limitation here. So I might share like a little throat block. Okay, great. So Eileen says way forward. Monique said, is she going in the right direction? Lorraine says, enveloping her. Color purple from Joanna. Light colors from Nina. Great, Jen. Water slide, moving fast, summer, fun, letting go, joy, beautiful. Managing tasks and time.
Ray.
What?
It's not fair. Ray knows exactly what's going on. It's not intuition, Ray.
Uh, how to deal with a client, inviting engagement. Okay. Anybody else still want to go out there on a limb?
Tati, you haven't said that out loud to me. That's still intuition.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone get images? Like you saw an image. Like, for example, Erin, you have how to deal with a client. Was that a phrase or an interpretation, or like how did you get to how to deal with a client?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay, fair. And Valerie, inviting engagement. Any images or anything come to you?
Actually, now that you mention it, yeah, I actually, when I was thinking about it, I was imagining sort of this blue, which is to me, what I feel with blue. I was probably attaching that to it. But I felt sort of that ocean blue and saw it.
Mm-hmm. Ocean blue. Great. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. Joanna, color purple. Just purple. Anything else come with it?
No, just the color.
Just the
Grace. And
color
it's
purple.
so weird because I don't feel colors normally. So I don't know what connects
Oh.
it to a color. Yeah.
Oh, great. Great. So that was a little new for you, not
Something
not
new.
normal.
Yes.
Yeah, something new. Okay. Great. And Monique, is she going in the right direction? Where did that come from?
I'd like to say intuition, but I can't.
Uh-huh.
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
It
Great.
just popped out.
Beautiful. That's what I want to hear then. Okay, great. So Toddy, you've kind of had an opportunity to read these and have a little bit of things from people. What strikes you as connected or resonant with this issue?
Few images that people shared. Let me open the chat completely. That one, a water slides, summer, moving forward, fun, letting go. I was like, oh yeah. And what Lorraine said, enveloping. As a second language speaker, I'm like, I go directly for direct meaning. I don't know, maybe there is a double meaning to that, but I immediately saw putting myself in that envelope and not letting myself out. And like, there's no envelope. What are you doing? You're free.
I just want to point out, like, so enveloping, Taddy took it to an envelope and being like shoved in an envelope, even though it may have been like something around her, right? Is the way that you took it. What matters is how the client took it. And it's can be super surprising. And when it's surprising, it's awesome because you're like, oh, what is that? What, how are you stuffed in an envelope? Tell me about that, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So what do these things tell you about the challenge that you wrote down?
All that pictures that Jen shared gave me an idea that I'm overthinking it. It's actually fun. And it's actually that metaphor of water slide. This is how it feels in a good days with my challenge. It's like summer, joy. And I'm like, who is in charge? How do I see that? Me. And as for envelope thing, again, who put you in that envelope? Who is limiting you? Nobody. Okay.
Yeah. And what kind of questions? Let's just Jen, do you mind if we bug you for a second? Is that okay? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So water slide, moving fast, summer fun, letting go, joy, and also our enveloping. person who was enveloping?
Lorraine.
Yes, thanks, Lorraine. So Jen, what if you saw this? What question might you ask Toddy when you see water slide moving fast? What question could that bring up for you to ask her, even though you don't know her topic?
What needs to happen to get there?
Wherever it is she thinks she wants to go. Yeah. Do you have a response to that, Toddy?
I immediately go into self-coaching mode. It's like, okay, what needs to be shifted for me mentally in order for me to get there? And it's again, you are free. You are free to choose whatever frame you want to give it, whatever label, whatever time limit.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. How about you, Lorraine? What question might you ask based on what came up for you?
Yeah. So if I did not know that Tati saw that comment enveloping as an envelope, and in my mind, the picture was like more like swirling, almost what you said, Grace, about just like swirling all around. Um, I might have asked something like, how is this issue shaping everything in your life?
Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Toddy, what do you think?
It's interesting. No matter how I translated the term and what Lorraine actually meant, it's still the same.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is, it is frustrating. It makes me don't want to do anything, demotivating, dragging stuff, being unhappy all the time.
Mm. Yeah. Great. So thank you everyone who volunteered, and thank you all for taking a risk and putting your intuition out there and giving it a shot. And know that there isn't a wrong intuition. There's just what resonates with the client at the moment, and that's all we really care about. Sometimes I come up with something, it will hit me, and I'm like, do I ask? Do I not? Do I ask? Do I not? Do I introduce this? Do I not? And then if I do, and the client's like, meh, I don't know, I usually write it in my notes. And then a few sessions later, it like emerges again, and the client sees something around it that's relevant. So I usually just keep little notes around that in the event that if it feels really solid for me, I'm going to keep note on it. A lot of things are just like going by. So thank you for all of you for putting yourself out there. So I want to talk just briefly. I'm not a huge fan of slides, you can probably tell. So the first key when we talk about accessing our intuition on demand is we need to understand it. We need to understand where it comes from. And in this, the way that I look at it is that it's coming from collective consciousness. So we are all interconnected. And it's the illusion that we have that we are a separate entity from the other person. We're really energetically all working together. And so when we can reach out and feel what's happening with somebody, we can pick up information that can be in service to them. And I also call this field energy. It's like all that surrounds us, like very Star Wars, the Force. We need to learn how to connect to that intentionally and reliably, and then read the information effectively. So I try to think of this as in a way, as a skill to be able to feel and identify what that field is for you. Like, how does it show up for you? What is the difference between that and your mind thinking about something, or wishful thinking or projection, or all the things our analytical mind can do. What is the difference in sensing that? And it helps to be able to then, like, okay, it's in this camp, not in this camp. And if it's in this camp, then I deal with it this way. So learning to feel what is the difference there is important. And then, of course, if you guys have said, building trust is the second key. How do we build that trust? Practice, 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 feedback. Practice connecting to the field, practice being a receiver rather than an interpreter or an analyzer, but a receiver. Practice sharing it with someone else to see, where am I stepping in and giving more than what actually came in? Where am I having trouble actually saying what came in? Because sometimes it's nonverbal and you got to then like figure out how to put words to it. And then get feedback from your client. Like, what happened here? Did it land? Did it not land? What did it bring up for them? Did it take them somewhere completely off track? And was that off track where they needed to go? Or was it something that you did? So getting that feedback. And this is something when I teach my courses, is that you need a safe space to be doing these things for a while, so that you can build enough trust in yourself to take it out of the practice room and start working with it with the clients. If you already work with your intuition and clients, then you can be more aware of what's happening and see if you can start to notice how things come in, how they feel, or maybe like I hear things like how they sound. If they're like completely out of left field, like what? Like those are usually the ones that are real field intuition versus pattern recognition. So it's easy to toss those at the same time. So the most important, significant ones often get tossed. So then like learning how to share that in a way that's like, this thing just came from left field, and like, how am I going to bring this in to the client? I'm going to give you an example of that. I had a client that, and if you do my free course, you'll actually get to watch this, or I think, yeah, watch it. She was struggling with leading a team, and mostly it was, what she wanted was to, conveniently here, trust her own intuition with how she was leading her team. And when I asked, what is that about? She said, well, I really want people on my team to feel heard, and that their thoughts are given merit and value, and that they get to try things. But often what happens is that I do that, and then we go down some track that wasted time and money, or it failed, or whatever. And I know in the beginning, when I had this intuition that we should go a particular direction, that then we end up doing that and it works. So I want to be able to have my team feel like they're heard, but also be able to take them in the direction that I think is going to be the most efficient and effective. And we talked a little bit, and I just kind of felt into her field, and her mother was walking back and forth, pacing back and forth behind her. And I don't think her mother passed or anything. It was just like the image that I had. And I just said, like, I know this is like a little left field here, but does your mom have anything to do with this, do you think? And she said, yes, she does. And you don't get the whole thing on the video, but basically what she said was, her mother was very controlling, and she felt like she never had a voice. And so she never asserted herself. And she never wants anyone else to ever feel that. And that was the thing. That was the reason why she was being held back. So that's how like direct it can be. Like getting right to the point sometimes. And then you can, the client can work with that if they choose to. And then the third key is, of course, communicating it safely. So staying in our lane, staying in the ICF competency, staying in our ICF ethics. getting permission from the client to share something, especially when it seems completely unrelated, and posing that effectively, using the power of questions. So getting an intuitive hit and then asking it as a question to see like, is this, helpful for the client or not? And again, staying with ICF ethics. And just, this isn't that hard. But it's a matter of really practicing it, especially when you start to open the spigot, so to speak, with intuitive information. It can be a little bit bigger thing to manage. Okay, so questions so far on the 3 keys. Yeah, Joanna.
One question came up, Grace. As you explained it, that it's an energy field. What is your experience dealing with clients in terms of maybe clients who have their own intuition? Because I believe many people, they don't trust their intuition, or they are maybe not as advanced, whatever. So I would be curious, what is your experience?
Sorry, did you say clients that have their own, like, be a little bit more specific on who?
Maybe clients who are very intuitive and are very strong, and you have then competing intuitions, let's say in a coaching session.
Oh, the client goes. Yeah, 100% follow them.
And how is your experience when the client is not intuitive as such?
If they're, well, then they're not, if, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, do you mean like if they feel like they're being intuitive, but they're, tell me a scenario that makes.
Maybe a scenario where somebody is very rational and you share something like, oh my God, or my sense is this and that, like with the mommy you were explaining. And then the person does not get it because they are very much in their minds and their ratio.
I see. Yeah. So on the more sort of advanced side of this, like when you are good with working with the communication part of it, you can get a feel for what the client may or may not be able to quote tolerate. But what I found, when I sort of discovered this gap, and that this way of approaching intuition can be helpful, I spent a whole year working with clients and bringing this back into my practice, all the work that I did in the 4 years of training in intuition. And one of my biggest concerns was that your point, like this person's going to be like, maybe super analytical, and I'm going to share something and they're going to be like, oh, you're a crazy woo woo person. But what I found, honestly, is that particularly with the correct framing, the client almost always makes a connection, even if it's not my connection that I would have thought. And if they don't make a connection, that's okay. And I just say, does it bring up anything else? Does it make you think of anything else? Like, what might be emerging from that? A big piece of this is just, we're throwing open some doors for the client. And in the way that we use our intuition in this particular way that I'm teaching it is like, we're offering doors, based on like what we're picking up in the field, and the client will take it or not. But what we need to trust is that when we are asking our intuition, is there anything that the client needs to know, that I can help bring into awareness, and I get an apple that, I can say, like, I know this is crazy, but I just had the image of an apple. Does that mean anything to you? Or how, I mean, I would interpret that as like being a teacher, but like, how would you interpret that, I quite honestly, Joanna, I haven't run into a situation where the client's just been like, nothing.
But that's great news. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Not to say that it can't happen.
Grace,
yes.
Just a quick question. If you said to the client, does this have anything to do with your mother? Okay. And she said, yes. Actually, what if she'd say, no, why do you ask?
So the way I posed that question was significant. So, like how you just said it was a statement. What does this have to do with your mother,
No,
period?
does this have anything to do with your mother?
Okay, so it's different, right? Like when you say,
Mm-hmm.
what does this have to do with your mother, period? It's like I'm assuming this has something to do with your mother because I'm seeing your mother in the statement that I'm making. That's different than saying, is there any connection here with, do you think, with your mom, or, is that no? That's open. Like the client can be like, nope, I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
but if she says no, why
yeah.
do you ask? What do you say?
Oh, in terms of, I can say, I don't know. I just have this sense that, you know, maybe there was some, so the pacing back and forth is where I'm going to pick up on that. Maybe there was, did you grow up with some like pressure or feeling of suppression, or something
Okay, okay.
like that? Yeah. I don't, I'm at the point now, I think I've practiced this enough with people and I feel comfortable enough that people are not going to freak out. Um, that I can say, like, I don't know, I just really got this sense of your mom. Like, I'm a little intuitive. It comes up. If it doesn't mean anything to you, let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yes, that's what I didn't, when you gave that example, I didn't pick up on why what made you bring up the mother. It was just her pacing back and forth.
I saw
Oh,
her behind
okay.
her in my mind's eye, walking back and forth, kind of giving her the riot act.
Oh,
Yeah. But I try not to interpret that too far because I don't know, like at some point, like how much I'm going into my own interpretation. So I'm trying to stay at, okay, the energy I have is mother, authority, pressure kind of thing.
so she
Um,
wasn't pacing. You had a vision of somebody pacing behind her.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
client was not pacing the room.
correct. Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
yeah. Thanks for asking, Erin. So I want to leave time to do a little demo. Will you guys be up for that? Um, I do need a volunteer who has something they want to try. Like it be like a coaching topic. It doesn't matter really what it's on, but something that feels safe enough for you to be vulnerable with on a recording. So, this is also something about intuition, is that when the client doesn't trust you, or it's an environment like we are here where there's a recording, right? And someone else is going to listen to this and you don't even know who they are. Like there's something in the environment where there's a lack of trust. Your ability to pick up on information is much lower. So when you share with some degree of vulnerability, so that it's like, okay, I'm going to open this package for you. It's not like I'm going to give you this package, but I'm going to keep it wrapped in foil. So good luck with that. Be willing to open up a little bit. So anyone want to volunteer? We'll try to keep it to 15 minutes so we have time to talk after.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, is that Monique?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm just going to pin you so that I can see you a little bit better. All right, awesome. Very good, Monique. So, um, um, would you mind just taking a moment and just taking a couple deep breaths and landing in yourself, and then whatever the thing is that you want to talk about, just getting present with it for me? Just tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Tell me what's up.
I started my own business about 16 months ago and offering services as a coach and a fractional HR and HR consulting. And I have a client, it's almost like a permanent client now for the fractional HR piece. with more and more responsibilities that are coming through, and the suggestion that they'd like me to be full time, and getting tempted by the full time, but sort of saying, no, but I'm trying to keep this coaching thing, even though I'm just building at the moment, but getting tempted by it. And then having a colleague, somebody that I used to work with years and years and years ago when I was doing management consulting, calling me up with this opportunity, this business opportunity, and spending an hour on the phone describing this business opportunity and asking if I was interested in joining, and hearing myself say something to the effect of, okay, but I like my flexibility, I like what I have now, but send me the business plan and we can talk about it afterwards. And stepping back and thinking to myself, it's the shiny objects. So, and why am I always interested in something else that can come along after I've made a decision that I want to go one way?
Yeah. So I want to invite everyone to notice where you immediately want to go with her after she just described all that, and write it down or whatever. Like, what's your immediate thing that you want to do? Just take a note of it and we'll talk about it later. Thank you, Monique, for sharing that. Um, what is it that you want to get out of our conversation that you think would be supportive?
Either, a clear understanding of why I get tempted by different things would be good, would be a good first step.
Yeah, why is that important to you?
Because it will help me understand it might help me understand what's important to me or what I'm getting totally distracted by.
So you're getting what you're getting distracted by in terms of this thing opportunity or this opportunity. Are you assuming that there's something underneath that that's distracting you with those shiny objects, or is it just they're interesting? It sounds like in that understanding what I'm being distracted by.
Is there something underneath it? But I think the problem is I don't know if there's something underneath it. And maybe some of it is that I'm discovering a world outside of where I was. Before I embarked upon my own journey, I spent 22 years with the same company. Oh, wow. And I think that some of it is just discovering this whole world out there and potentially not wanting to miss out on this, that, or the other thing. But I can't do this, that, and the other thing, clearly.
Okay. So you have a little FOMO with an adventurous spirit right now, and look at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. So there's this oh, wow. And then wait, wait a second. What am I trying to do? Is that the question for you too?
It's what am I trying to do, or why am I trying to do everything? Why? Yeah. And why am I attracted to all these different things?
Yeah. Was the answer you just gave, did that answer why? Or is there more?
The fear of missing out, or the why am I attracted to it?
The excitement.
Yeah, maybe some of it is maybe because maybe I'm feeling I'm getting into a routine, and maybe I feel that I need to have a bit more stimulation. All the while saying to myself, but I know that I want to have my flexibility. I don't want to drop the coaching. I like to have the security for this part-time HR job that's turned into marketing and IT and everything else, because I keep saying, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to work remotely whenever I want to work remotely. And I want to be able to do and preserve all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm invested in the coaching. But if somebody talks to me about a new business opportunity, or do you want to volunteer for the Australian American Chamber of Commerce? Sure. I'll do that with all my other volunteering. Yeah, so maybe, now that as I'm talking through it, and I think that part of it is that I'm discovering a world outside that I didn't know existed, maybe that will calm down after a while, or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is emerging from you? Like when you tune into yourself, like you talked about autonomy, flexibility, and you're also having excitement for what's next, even if you don't exactly know. I get the feeling there's like this something is newly emerging for you, is the feeling that I get. If you tune into yourself, what do you feel?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because I think part of it is that I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't necessarily need a full second career, because I'm thinking about, okay, maybe I should start winding down a little bit and just keep this. And yet, um, all of a sudden and then suddenly I'm thinking, but why not just go out there and fill up my days with more and more and more. It's, I think there's a little bit of a battle there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is emerging from you? And if you don't know how to answer that question, it's okay. Just tune into your heart center, ask the question, and see if something pops up.
No, I don't know how much is emerging, but this is always something that I think about when I think about the flexibility and the time that I need, is that I've got two kids. One lives in Amsterdam, the other one lives in Tokyo. And when my son sends me a text and says, I'm going to visit Lara, the daughter, in Tokyo in August, can you join us? And I always just want to think, yeah, I do. But then I'm thinking, oh, but I've got these responsibilities here and it's going to be hard to do. But I wanted this flexibility so that I could say, sure, that will be fun. So I kind of I have that. I have this almost like a whole other life that I'd left behind in Paris when I moved here that I love going back to as well. And I'm starting to think I'm just not really getting the time to do all of that. But at the same time, I need revenues, and also I guess I like knowing that people do depend on me to deliver certain things, because that's what I enjoy doing as well. So maybe it's a bit of a struggle about combining all of that and just feeling at peace with what I've chosen.
Yeah. How are you holding all of it? Like, oh my God, I have to decide something, or like, wow, look at this thing happening. Like, how are you relating to all of this?
Well, I think that, and that's a good question as well, because some of it comes in and it's a little overwhelming. And sometimes I think, okay, here's an opportunity for an event here or whatever. Yeah, I'll just think about it before I sign up. And then then all of a sudden I've lost the opportunity because I can't get back in. So some of it is I'm realizing that I'm kind of pushing things off into the future because I'm finding that my days are really filled, and either socially or professionally socially, because they come together too, and I'm a people person. So it's interesting because sometimes I think that I managed much better when I was working full time, which is an interesting realization.
So am I hearing it when you say like you manage better when there's structure that you kind of
Probably.
fit into versus
Yeah. Because I think that I've realized that it's up to me to structure now. I already come to that realization, and that's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
And especially if you're doing different things.
Yeah. And there's only so many hours in the day.
And there's so many hours and in the night.
That's right. Yeah. What do you need to trust yourself?
What do I need to trust myself? Maybe sometimes just to listen to that little voice in my head. Like the little voice that's saying, really, Monique, you want to go full-time on another business opportunity that's not a small thing. This is a big thing. Really? And maybe that's what I need to do is to listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we started, you were asking the question, why am I tempted by all these different things? What is that voice saying? Where are you with that?
Well, maybe the voice is saying that I need to learn to say no and think about what it is that I really want now. Okay, and does that fit in to what I really want? I'm conscious that even though I've got a fractional, a long-term fractional position, it could disappear for a moment. Maybe that's also sometimes why I'm thinking, I should be looking at what are some of the other alternatives, and but still. Yeah.
To me, it sounds like you're on a research mission without knowing it.
Yeah. And I have to admit, when I was thinking about it before, I'm thinking, well, that would mean that I'd have to stop the coaching because I can't do that. And then I'm thinking, no, but this is what I want to do as well, even though I'm just building at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's also staying true to that.
Yeah. It sounds like you're in process. And we're used to having that this, then this, then this, but you're in process. Yeah.
I think I'm actually a work in process. At this point.
Yeah. Well, Monique, anything you want to say to close this conversation?
It was an interesting go around the whole issue, because there are a lot of things that pop up while I'm speaking, which is obviously the great thing about coaching, that things pop out while you're speaking. And it also it's helpful just to have that recognition so that little voice can be heard.
Yeah. You have the freedom now to follow it.
Yeah.
And
I hadn't thought about that little voice, and now I am thinking about that little voice. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Monique, for being vulnerable and putting all that out there and being open. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And this is a great group, so I have no qualms about it whatsoever.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to come back to you in a minute. I want to just share my experience on my end, and then Monique, I want to if you would be willing to share your sort of experience and as a coach being able to reflect that back to me. So sometimes what happens is it takes a little while for me to connect and for things to warm up a little bit and for me to actually feel like what I need to feel, whatever that may be. And like Monique, before we started, the immediate image for me was a heart with like rays coming out of it. And I just wrote it down and then left it. And as you kept talking and opening up more, it felt to me like there's this part of you that's like, yay, I get to be me. And so my questions were, I was curious, like, what's happening with that? Like, where are you in all of this? And if we had more time, I may have been a little bit more assertive with that question, but we haven't established a relationship long enough for me to, I guess we're doing it now, but for me to do that in the coaching setting. So, yeah. And I felt like that heart with the rays and feeling like you're coming, it's like a coming out party, really. And that really felt really important to me. So I'd love your feedback on that.
I really do like that image, and the coming out party is very apt as well, because I'd felt like I was in a bubble for 22 years, working for the same company in different locations, and then I came out of that bubble when I left them. And it's like, and it's like, and I can be me, because there's a lot of things that you have to hold back on when you're in a company culture that can be stifling sometimes. But so that is interesting. But at the same time, I have to still make sure that me is still adapted to what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that as well. So there's still got to be some self-control, but it's not a scary self-control. It's a self-imposed self-control that has nothing to do with outside influences. So I think that that's right. And the heart thing is interesting because some of it is, I really do enjoy meeting new people. I really do enjoy helping people, which every coach has a tendency to say, or a lot of people who work in HR certainly have a tendency to say it. And it makes me feel good, makes the heart feel good. So, there, I like that. I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a whole world in there to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask questions and also share anything that's coming up for you. Before we do that, I just want to quickly share this. So I have a free 4-week training. It's on-demand training. There are live sessions available for the next couple months, but all the material is available all the time. And I'm probably going to screw up my thing here. Nope, I didn't. I'm going to give you the link in the chat for that. So if you want to sign up for that, you're welcome to. That's free. There's no obligation. You can access the information at any time. But let's see if I have a helpful slide here. So yeah, here's the 4 weeks. You do get core competency credits for it. And if you come to the live sessions, you can get some group supervision credits as well. So week 1, we talk about foundations. What are the different types, how we define it in this program. Week 2 is identifying how you connect and like how information comes in for you. Week 3 is how do you do this on demand? And then week 4 is how are we really integrating this into coaching session in a way that's safe. So it kind of follows my longer version program, but is really an introduction to see if this is anything interesting for you or not. So you are welcome to that. And then I also have free group supervision once a month. So that's also available. And let me see if I have a link for that. Group sign up. So, and what we do in these is that we bring whatever is coming up for you, and we use our intuition in our own, with our own selves, with our own practice. So you're getting an opportunity to use that on a somewhat regular basis. So that's the group supervision one. Okay, questions, comments, what's happening out there after this? Love to hear feedback from y'all. I'm gonna unpin you.
Grace, for me
Yes.
today was really great experience seeing how it feels on the other side, all that silence. And as I mentioned in introduction, something that I feel around you, even online, that calming, grounding presence. Do you think it's something that you have to born with, or you can establish and develop that skill?
Are you kidding? I'm a crazy person. I jump out of airplanes. I just, I don't know. Yes, you can cultivate it, I suppose. I think it's probably just integrated enough in me in my practice that I worry a lot less about life. I worry a lot less about trying to solve someone else's problem because it's not my problem. Um, I hold everything, like everything in duality is true. So like a problem as we sort of define it is within the container of something bigger. It's a not even a it may be a symptom, but it's a signal about something, and everyone's experiencing their own life from their own perspective, and all of them are true. So yeah, I think a lot of it is just having done this work long enough. Yeah.
Thank you.
I still freak out, just so you know. Like I'm not if you see my post, I did a podcast on called The Emotional Intelligence of Rage because I totally went off on this guy. So I'm not always like that, Dottie. Thanks, Aaron.
I just want to comment, Grace. I loved your question. You asked Monique, what do you need in order to trust yourself? I found it so powerful. I think for me that was very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, and that came from that thing that was happening. Like there's this thing like and she's like, but hold on, we gotta stay in our bubble, and so like trust yourself, there's something there. Yeah. Valerie.
I was just identifying with what Johanna said when you asked that question, and then I was observing Monique, and I don't know, Monique, if this was true, but I felt like, wow, okay, that was an appropriate question at an appropriate time, right? It just felt like, oh, that landed. But I don't want to assume anything, Monique, but as an observer, I was like, okay, that's wow, like that was a moment. It felt like.
Thank you,
I
Valerie.
have to say that it took and it felt like a long time, but it did take a little bit of time for it to land. It kind of went down slowly. until I came back and so it was interesting.
Yeah, it's a new experience to live by your intuition and your freedom rather than the structure. Yeah. Anybody else? Eileen, yeah.
I was going to say the image that kept coming up for me was the shiny object. And that was at the beginning and it just continued throughout. And I think just based on this conversation, I'm wondering, it has a duality, right? It's shining in terms of the heart, with the rays expanding, but it also is a reflection that could be creating what you were calling a bubble. And so I just have to say that the word shiny object, I just think there's a lot to contemplate, even if it was a coin or a mirror, in terms of as you, leave today's session. So I just wanted to share that. I haven't been able to shake shiny object.
Yeah, and all of us are going to bring our intuition differently into a session. We're going to pick up different things. We could do the same person, same topic, completely different conversation, just like other coaching conversations. What you're going to, pick up is different from what I'm going to pick up. And they're all right. Lorraine.
Well, Eileen's question just brought up for me, what is the distinction between analogies that come to mind for clients relative to intuition feelings or moments?
Can you be a
Because
little
to
bit
me,
more
shiny
specific?
objects was an analogy that you could explore, but not necessarily, is there interplay there with intuition? Not really. How do you see that?
Okay. How I see that is it's so funny. Like life is so paradoxical, but that shiny object, maybe to your point, Lorraine, could be a shiny object. It could be a distraction. And most likely it is because that's the energy of it. She's describing a distraction. And if you noticed, there's all kinds of rabbit holes that you can go down in that. You can go back and listen to that conversation and listen to all the places where you could potentially go down a rabbit hole. And I intentionally stayed out of the rabbit hole and stayed with her as a person right here, right now, rather than getting into the weeds. And then she's responsible for bringing all of that back to the question at the end. You started with this. Where are you with it now? What are you going to do next? Instead of like trying to solve for X. Does that help, Lorraine? Yeah. Okay. Raymond?
I think that in this entire demo and working through it, no images came up for me. And I find that kind of strange because I'm a very visual person. I can visualize things very quick, very clearly. So in this conversation around images, for me, nothing really came up. And I don't know if that's just weird or if it's just my intentionality around making sure that I'm fully focused on the client. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there. I like zero images came up for me.
Are you talking about the demo with Monique or the group demo?
For both actually.
Okay. Well, first with Monique, like you're not connected to her in the way that I connected with her and she opened up to me. Like think of it as it's a conduit that we've agreed to
Okay.
be in together and you haven't made that agreement. So you're not always going to get something. Contracting is like super vital to
Right.
your intuition, which is another thing that I teach, how to set up contracting so that your intuition is accurate and reliable.
Okay.
So don't be hard on yourself. It's just a matter of connecting in a way that is effective.
So that makes much more sense to me, because if I feel like I'm connected and like I'm fully grounded with a client, then yeah, things are much more free. But in an environment like this, like nothing came up for me, just despite the effort.
Yeah. No, it's probably on purpose in a way.
Okay.
So I want to respect everyone's time. And thank you so much for being here, for participating, for giving me feedback. And if all this was interesting to you, hopefully I'll see you in a group supervision or in the 4-week program, or I don't know, somewhere.
If anybody can take a second, look into your camera. I'm going to take a screenshot for our social media. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, someone was looking down. Valerie, could you please look into the camera? I want everybody to look good. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Very good, everybody. Thank you so much again. And I hope to see you in another world.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Bye,
much,
everyone.
Grace.
Bye,
That was
everyone.
priceless. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Should we stop recording, Ray?
It it stopped recording on its own at some point. I don't know when. I know it recorded most of it, but when we got to the end, I was like, I can't stop the recording. It's already stopped.
Okay, anyway.
So that was strange.
So, what do you think? It went pretty well.
I think so.
And I like that she was right on time. I didn't need to cut anybody off or to cut her off. I really like it. So my only thing, I'm going through a dashboard right now. We need to make sure that we're not recording our
Hold on.